If I told you we already had the first woman president? So this is back during the First World War. It was 1918 and Woodrow Wilson was trying very hard to establish the League of Nations. Basically, he was super stressed out because the House and the Senate were both run by Republicans and he wanted to sign a treaty that they did not agree with. So he decided to plead his case directly with the American people by going on tour and explaining to them why he wanted to sign the treaty. His wife Edith knew he was not well and begged him not to go. Even the president's personal physician said you should not go do this. But he didn't listen to them. Yes, men haven't really changed that much in 100 years. The president made it 3 weeks before collapsing on the floor. Edith was devastated. They rushed the president back to the White House. Now, something important to note is that Woodrow had his most trusted advisor living in the White House, and his name was Hoover. Just 3 days after the incident, the president collapsed again at the White House, and this time, Hoover said he looked like he was dead. They realized soon after that the president was paralyzed. The doctor examined him, and luckily his brain was not damaged, but he couldn't move an arm or a leg. When they realized what had happened, and they're in the middle of a world war, they were like, we have to keep this a secret. This was what Hoover would later call the beginning of the deception of the American people. So the only people that knew about this devastating secret was the First Lady, Hoover, and the doctors. But people were getting suspicious because this was a president that was literally just on tour, looked exhausted, and now he's nowhere in the spotlight. So you'd think that obviously the vice president would stand up and take his spot, but no. The vice president was Marshall, and Marshall didn't want to oust him because the president had been so kind to him. He didn't want him to become the first president that the vice president had to take over for health reasons. So he didn't. And instead, a room full of people who had never been elected by anyone discussed in secrecy who should run the government. And it was decided. In secrecy, Edith ran everything until his second term was over. And Edith spent her whole life insisting that her husband did all the work.